as Matt said, that this session is going to look at my own sort of reflections and experiences about the challenges that I have faced and others have faced in Christian leadership, but particularly for those who are entrepreneurial in nature, keen to transform or develop projects within a Christian setting. But to be honest, it's probably a good session to listen to for any Christian leader. Okay, so just a little bit about me. I am an MA student. I am a geriatric millennial who decided to go back into studying, which I'm enjoying immensely. I have a passion for sort of big picture, futuristic sort of strategies for working with communities and churches. I have experience working within the charitable and non-for-profit sector, looking at relationship management and program development and coaching. I'm particularly passionate about motivational programs for young people to kind of help them to be successful in work or going into higher education. I also work as a freelance coach, and I'm a co-founder of a gospel music, performing arts and coaching company, Five Talent Management. I'm married. I've got 2 boys. We recently returned from Ethiopia, and we're getting used to the weather back here in the UK because it was very sunny there. So the first thing I thought we would talk about, challenge 1, is leading in a polarized society and sometimes church, because whatever we're going to be leading in, we're going to be leading people who belong to our society. And as we probably all know, society has become a bit more polarized. So whether that is around our politics or cultural issues or generational differences, there are lots of kind of differences in the way people see the world and see things and see how society should develop. And that's no different for us in the church. And I know that from my own experience, I've been working with my church, helping them to develop their youth program. And what we found is that there was so much difference between what our young people wanted to kind of talk about and have discussions about, and what their parents wanted us to talk about. So it was a little bit of a, I guess, a bit of disagreement, with those two areas. And me and my team, we thought about how can we ensure that we are kind of bringing people together, because it's very easy to kind of just want to show our own vision or our own way of doing things and not bring people in. And I actually think that us as Christian leaders are uniquely placed to bring people in and to learn from different people's experiences, regardless of their background or their viewpoint. So one of the things we did was to share our vision, which I'll just show you quite quickly, for our youth ministry. And essentially, between myself and our young people and our parents, we essentially wanted the same thing. So kind of setting out the vision in a clear way that all of us could understand, it was easy then to get into discussion. We wanted to have a foundation of love, kingdom principles, but also for our young people to be able to deal with situations in their everyday life. And then a way for them to learn how to express their faith, whether in church, getting to be part of ministries in our church, so they can ultimately fulfill their purpose, because we know that God has a great plan for their life and we want them to know what that vision is. So we got our parents in a workshop and we got them to work in groups and come up with all different ways on how they wanted the youth ministry to look like from their perspective. And it really kind of broke the ice in terms of maybe what they thought as us as youth ministers, and also what perhaps some of us thought of them and their views as parents. And we were able to find so much common ground. So I would challenge you to find spaces where you can bring people who have different viewpoints on different things together, because you'll find that often there's more in common than what you realize. You've got a lot more common than definitely what you realize in some cases. Okay, challenge 2 is losing perspective. And that picture there is of Moses on Mount Sinai. And boy, he had lots of opportunities to lose perspective going through what he was going through with the children of Israel. Sometimes busyness of ministry or starting up a new project can be challenging, and we need a trusted friend, a wise friend, or a mentor to give us perspective, to almost help us to see those blind spots. And in Exodus 18, Jethro, who was Moses's father-in-law, became that person for him. And he was able to ask him some key questions about why he was doing certain things. So he was judging all the people. There were hundreds of people, and he was responsible for judging all of them. And Jethro, in his wisdom, suggested to Moses that he should train up some of the other leaders. He should delegate some of those judgments to leaders. And that's what Moses did. And what that helped Moses with was to help him to stop being so tired. He was tiring himself out. And often one of the challenges of ministry is the fact that we get so involved in it. We're so passionate about what we do, is that sometimes we can lose a little bit of focus, and we need someone who can help us to see the kind of like the bigger picture, so they can help you with ways of trying to be more efficient. So, as I mentioned, you may need a mentor or a wise friend, and the Stronger Network is actually probably a really good place to connect with people who do have different experiences, who might be able to help you on your journey, whether it's starting something new in ministry or you're a startup. Get someone who's wise. It might also be a wise thing as well to have someone who's maybe outside of your circle sometimes a little bit, who might be able to give you a perspective that is fresh. Someone who's trusted and respected. Raised self-awareness in Moses, the fact that he had someone who was able to show him where he might be able to be more efficient. Developed new leaders with his ability to delegate. So Moses was then developing more people who could go on to do leadership roles. As a result, he was more efficient and he had more time. And Jethro, being Moses's father-in-law, I wonder whether Moses' wife kind of like nudged her dad to kind of have a word with him. That's what I think anyway, but obviously we don't know. Okay, next is dealing with conflicting priorities. We've probably all been there. We live busy lives, but conflicting life priorities, especially when starting something new and getting things off the ground, is it regularly happens. I'm constantly trying to juggle all different kind of things in my life. One thing that's helped me to give me some perspective is this wheel of life. And if you just take a look at that, there are many areas of our lives represented on this wheel. So in the very center is a 0, and on the edges of the circle is a 10. So depending how much time and effort you're putting into these areas, then you would obviously color it in appropriately. And obviously life has its ups and downs, and there are going to be some areas that are less and got less coloring in than others. But generally, we need to make sure that all these areas of our lives are not too low, because what we don't want is to have success in our project or our ministry or what we're setting out to do, but then those other areas are neglected. And from my perspective, part of being a successful Christian leader is also about having success in other areas of our lives. We don't want to neglect one area too much, and then we don't have success, because there will be a knock-on effect to I think, our well-being, and ultimately how effective we can be in our ministry or business or startup. So these wheels of life are very easy to find online. You can get a template, but I urge you to kind of maybe do one and see what your life looks like when it's on a wheel like this. Okay, the next thing is staying focused, learning to say no and setting goals. Again, in this photo here, you see this woman trying to balance all these plates, and that's sometimes what life can feel like we're balancing a lot of plates. We're trying to achieve so many things, and we can sometimes lack clarity in where we're going. But I found as a coach that setting goals has been very important in terms of keeping my focus. So this is a diagram of what we call the GROW model. And maybe some of you have seen this before if you've been around coaching. But these sort of questions around the goal, your reality, then what options you have will help you to decide then what you will do. It'll help you to filter out sometimes some of the things that you can spend less time doing, or what you need to say no to, or what perhaps you need to put on the back burner, so that you can stay focused on achieving your ultimate goal. And sometimes when you have clarity over what your goal is, it can help you to create smaller little goals so that you can eventually meet your bigger goal. So just having that clarity, and it allows you to say no to things if you know it's kind of not going to help you to reach your goal. And I remember one preacher said that no is actually an anointed word. And I know it's hard sometimes, particularly in church settings, to say no to things because we want to help out and we know that there is always lots to do. And again, when you set a goal and when you have perhaps some sort of coach and direction, you get set actions, and you are it raises your awareness of maybe things that you didn't even realize were happening that can affect you reaching really where you want to be. And everything that you speak about and all the actions you have, put them before the Lord. It says on here that it's self-directed and it's about self-belief, but ultimately all the actions and conversations you have, put before the Lord, and he will tell you what things you are to ultimately go with and what's going to be the right direction for you. Next is becoming an undefended leader. Sometimes when we start up a project or ministry, we treat that project like that teddy bear is in the middle. It's our teddy bear. We're very it's precious to us. It's our baby. And, we kind of want to hold it close, and we're not sure whether we want people to take perhaps responsibility over certain things. And we can become what is termed a defended leader. Okay, so on this slide here, you can see that on one side you have the defended leadership and undefended leadership. And as I said, like with that teddy bear, we start with the defended leadership diagram. It says life owned as a possession. Sometimes we can possess that project so much that we become defended. We don't trust anyone else to kind of do any work. We don't want to delegate. We're driven by a plan or strategy, regardless of the moment, because sometimes we need to be flexible. But when we hold on to things so tightly, that can become a challenge. There's that desire for control and eliminating risk. We don't want to risk take because we don't want anything to sort of like ruin what we have. We want to stay kind of comfortable, I guess. Showing only in vulnerability, which means that we don't want to show that we're vulnerable. We don't know something, or we're not sure how something's going to work out. And we actually do need to be a bit more vulnerable, as it says on the undefended leadership side. And accruing some compensation. So it's almost like we want to be sometimes recognized for the things that we've done. And if we don't get that, then perhaps we might not be so happy about that. But the undefended leader is, I think, where we all should aim to be. Giving away of trust essentially means that we give our trust to others, but also to God. The project or what we're starting, our ministry, belongs to him. And I very much see these two models of leadership as the undefended leadership is about God's grace and about being able to hold our projects and our ministry loosely. Not that we don't care, but loosely, because we're not the ones that are ultimately in control. And that defended leadership, which seems a bit more about works, about what you can control and what you can do. And I find it fascinating because when I was reading the book that this model comes from, which I recommend you read, it's called The Undefended Leader by Simon P. Walker. And the question that he asked the group of leaders was, what would change in their lives if they started to act like an undefended leader? And I just want to quickly read out some of the things that they thought would change to you, because I thought it's quite insightful. They said, experience less duty and obligation around key tasks, celebrate more, ask for help, work in teams and become dependent on others as often as possible, go to bed earlier, play more sport, get excited about stuff, be chaotic and messy, revel in each new discovery made, enjoy freedom of emotional expression, enjoy the moment, rest, be intrigued by people, go for every exciting adventure you can, go into every day not knowing what to expect. And I know for me that some of those really ring true for me, that it's be good to kind of live more in the moment and enjoying all the parts of, putting things together and being a leader. Sometimes we can be so sort of have our head down and want to achieve stuff, which is not a bad thing, but it can stop us from enjoying those the sort of daily things that come up when you're running a ministry. Remember those opportunities to have joy, enjoy those moments, get rest. I think that is so important when we're leading. And lastly, challenge 6, remembering and staying connected to God. I found Isaiah 41:10. I think this is in the Message version. It's not usually a version of the Bible I read very much, but I felt like it really kind of encapsulated this particular verse well. It says, "Don't panic. I'm with you. There's no need to fear, for I am your God. I give you strength. I'll help you. I'll hold you steady. Keep a firm grip on you." And I think that sums up nicely the fact that God is the one who's ultimately in control of all our leadership decisions. And, I believe that God has called you to be a leader, but he's also equipping you and giving you the tools. And he tells us that, the yoke is supposed to be easy and, the burden is light. And I believe that in leadership, we need to carry that into all what we do, even when it's stressful, that we're not to panic, that God has got us. So I hope that this has been useful to you. If you would like to get in contact with myself, or you think that you'd like to speak about anything, my contact details are there. Please do get in contact. Thank you very much.